Super chat here, though. I want to throw at you, boys. It says, entertain this idea, De Zerbi to Chelsea.
Whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, listen, I don't even know what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, I'd sack Pochettino, but I don't think I'd be getting someone like a De Zerbi, man. But then again, like, De Zerbi, is he better than fucking Poch? I mean, I don't know. Probably not. Actually, again, no, he's not. If you actually look, again, this is where people need to do the research. You actually do your research on De Zerbi, yeah? Go and have a look at his former clubs. I think he's been sacked 2 or 3 times. He's done horrific at some of his former clubs. So probably not. No, I think Chelsea need a more experienced manager. But they won't get an experienced manager. By experience, I mean someone who's going to be like, this is my way or the highway. Because that owner is not going to have it.
They can't sack Poch because apparently the FFP stuff's coming, right? But De Zerbi, this De Zerbi thing, I just think it's got to stop, man. I don't get this obsession with this guy.
I reckon we're getting him, man. You know, when Pep leaves, bro. I think my club's obsessed with him, man.
I don't get the obsession. Like, I think he's done a really good job. I think he's all right. I don't look at him and go, do you know what? Get him in. Man United start winning titles again. Get him into Chelsea. He'll fix their problems. They'll start winning again. I don't get this. How do we know that? We've got absolutely no proof that they'll be. He plays it out nice at the back, so now he's going to win titles. This guy's got no proof that he's won anything at Premier League level. What is it all about?
You're right about what it's all about. I agree with the statement of he doesn't guarantee anyone titles, but we have to be very cautious of what he's doing with a budget that he has at Brighton, and the fact that their model, and it will be this for at least another 10 years until they've been in the Premier League and built up more money. Their model is to buy cheap, sell, and then they take that money. Some of it gets reinvested in the players, some of it gets reinvested into the structure of the football club. And that's how small clubs grow. And there's a lot of people that challenge this. But I remember listening to, I think you must have watched it, LB Vincent Company's documentary they did with about Burnley on Sky. Mm-hmm. And in the first episode, they break down in the meeting why, and Burnley weren't doing this. And they were breaking down in the meeting why it's so important to buy talented young players, build them up and sell them for a profit and reinvest it into the football club. And you have to invest it in multiple areas. You can't just take it all and spend it on players, of course. And Brighton's model will always see their best players leave. Do I think De Zerbi and Brighton would have gone to another level this year if McAllister and Caicedo and the like had all stayed and they bought in who they did? Yeah, I believe so. I mean, they're already in about the same position as they were last year, same points, top their group in Europe after selling their best players. Now, let me ask you guys this question. If your 2 or 3 best players for each summer for the last 3 years have been sold from your clubs, would Arsenal and City be as good as they are now, in your opinion?
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
That's why the hype's there, because you look at the model, you look at that model. But I agree with you. The idea that he goes into City and keeps them winning like Pep, I think he needs a step between a giant club that's at the top winning and where he is now. He needs to be tested somewhere. He needs to be tested somewhere like a Spurs. That he needs that in between, and I mean that with all due respect to Tottenham. As much as you make lots of money, you're not a Man United, you're not a City, you're not a Liverpool, you're not an Arsenal. He needs something in between where the pressure's a lot higher than at Brighton. But I do get the hype around him, because what he's doing at a club their size with their budgets is phenomenal in so many ways. But equally, Brighton are a very well-run club. He goes to Chelsea and they don't improve how they're being run. He's going to foul there as well.
Chelsea have put themselves into a ridiculous situation for this reason. They can't go and get Ancelotti or Simeone or Flick now, because they ain't got a win now squad. So you get a win now manager. You know, the same as Spurs. They go and get Conte who's ready to win now, but they don't have a squad that's ready to win now. So they have to go and get a project manager now, because that's the squad that they've put together is going to have to be a project. So they're screwed. They're absolutely screwed now.
They didn't even need to do this, Danny, either. Like, they had a Champions League winning team.
£1 billion. They spent
£1 billion, guys. Yeah, they just won the Champions League. This owner come in and thought, you know what I'm going to do? You know this Champions League winning squad? I'm going to dismantle the whole thing and then replace it with under 23s. Well, way to go, mate. Yeah, you're now in the bottom half of the table. 2 years on the bounce of no Champions League football. You know, the fans are all arguing with each other. No one knows what they want. The boards are a mess. The managers are a mess. The players are crap. I'd take probably 1 or 2 players out your team, absolute max. Well, way to go, Todd. Yeah.
it's imagine taking this. I mean, Arsenal haven't even won a Champions League, but imagine you take this Arsenal squad now, spend $1 billion on it, and get worse. That's why I've seen teams fall off, spend loads of money and not get better. But to be a Champions League, and by the way, with Champions League winning team, and the next year they stayed for the first half, maybe 2/3 of the season, they stayed pretty damn close to Liverpool and Chelsea, Liverpool and City. They had a bad December with injuries and other things like that. But they had a squad that was good enough for me. They're a handful of players away from being good enough to win the Premier League. And now you lose a handful of the players they've currently got, and they're getting relegated. I'm not even joking. There's a report that's come out this afternoon, gents. This is a mad one. That there is the Enzo Fernandez and his team are now looking at options to get out of the football club.
Yeah, probably true. They're probably true, but like what you have to. So this is the downside to the 8 years contracts is that if you sell him now, don't you have to take a massive loss on that? Now, how does that affect like the books and in terms of the financial
100%.
fair play? I'm pretty sure that's like the down. Like, it's all well and good saying, "Oh yeah, we get to spread our payments over 8 years," but if the players then sold early into the contract for a big loss, which he would be because no one's paying 100 million quid, isn't that going to massively impact
And
your
the
books?
profit and sustainability thing is it's going to mess them up massively.
Yeah, I mean,
now.
they're under huge pressure on that. And look, I understand if this. I mean, it's been shared by Simon Phillips, who's a very well respected name in the Chelsea community. The source comes from a Jack Tolbert, who he's back in here saying, he's solid on this. So I'm taking it for what it is. Some Chelsea fans won't want to agree with it. But I wanted to ask you, I'm not surprised that these players are looking at it and saying, you know what, this could be 2, 3, 4 years before we're doing anything of any real note and a player's career is short. I'm not asking this question to cause controversy. I'm asking it genuinely. With the potential risk of points deductions because of profit and sustainability, where they currently sit in the league, no real light at the end of the tunnel, could Chelsea end up a consistent mid-table team, or even worse, a relegation side? Could you see that happening to this club?
I mean, this is the second year in a row that they're finishing mid-table, is it not? So how many years do you have to finish in a certain area of the table to be considered that area of the table team? So they're going to probably finish mid-table this year. If they finish mid-table next year, that's 3 years on the bounce to finish mid-table. And the rumor has it that they're probably not going to be able to spend too much money this summer because of the profit and sustainability rules. So this squad ain't getting better. Dan's telling me this squad's crap and it's only a mid-table team. So this squad ain't going to improve. So you could potentially get 3 years in a row mid-table? I think that's
could be a Fulham and Brentford, Chelsea. You never know. Listen, you'd think it'd be better, wouldn't you? You'd think it couldn't get much worse. But Terry's right. How do we see that? Where is the light at the end of the tunnel? And if we do believe the finances are going to screw them, which everyone's saying it is, then they might be in serious trouble. And then when players do want to leave and then become unsettled, they're going to have to sell them for ridiculous fees. You think Caicedo and Enzo are going to get them back 250 million, both of them? No.
Dad, how much would you pay for Enzo now?
I don't even rate him, bro. I don't even get
Okay. So say Arsenal have agreed a deal to sign Enzo Fernandez from Chelsea tomorrow. What price are you saying that's the max we should pay?
Because of his age and potential, 50 mil.
Yeah, I agree. I'm in that 50 mil area.
Do you rate Caicedo?
Yes.
I rate Caicedo more.
So on Caicedo, because you rate him, what would you be prepared for Arsenal to pay for him?
I was happy for when we were linked with him for 70 million in the January of last year. I was really happy for us to go and get him for that. And I stand by that. I think he's about that level because when he is on fire, mate, he looks really good.
Yeah, I'm not too far away from that either.
Yeah, I think that's about fair. Look, I don't think Chelsea will get relegated based on points generated in the season, in this season or next year. It's all about what happens with FFP and profit and sustainability. There is the talk that they could get anywhere between a 15 to 20 point deduction.
Ooh.
That sees Chelsea potentially go down. And what would happen if they had a deduction at that level?
I would love it.
Even if it was a 10-point deduction. The problem that you then have is I don't think these players, due to age, the clubs they've been developed through, and their experience in football, I don't think they're built for a relegation battle. As great as top players can be, or top young talent can be, they're not used to that type of struggle. They're not used to, like, if you put the City team suddenly, like, say you took loads of points off City, you put them bottom of the league, and that, they're minus 30 points and said trying to avoid relegation, they'd do it. but I don't think they'd accumulate as many wins as when they're up at the top. Because being at the bottom, I think psychologically it's a different type of battle. But that's the best team in the world. You would do it. This City team is already a mid-table side. You suddenly throw them into a relegation battle where your whole future depends upon you staying in the Premier League. I don't think they could handle that pressure. And people say I'm scaremongering. This is not listen, Chelsea Reaper, this isn't scaremongering. This is an honest conversation about a club who was the most successful for the past 20 years up until recently. Has had new owners, spend huge amount of monies, create massive financial problems according to the experts. A number of your young players now want to leave your club, and you've sat mid-table for 2 years. And last year, let's not lie about this. You know, and I know that we have a lot of good Chelsea fans who watch the Terrace and are not biased in this. If there was 5 or 6 more games to go last season, you would have gone down last year. You were dropping like a stone. It was only the start of the season by Thomas Tuchel that saved you. I think it was over like a 42-game period when you looked at the numbers from the start of this season to the beginning of this. You only generated 38 points. That's relegation form.
Facts.
You throw in a points deduction and the inability to spend more money. Look, to say that Chelsea couldn't end up in that type of environment is naive. And as Chelsea fans, you should be you should be asking questions and demanding answers. To bury your head in sand and just say it's all going to be okay is absolutely crazy.
Mate,
it's crazy in my opinion.
Can you imagine it's 2026 and Chelsea and City are going at it to try and win the championship? Oh, I'd love to see it, man. I'd love to see it. Both relegated.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be beautiful. That's what I'm praying.
Give you a chance to win in the league.
Of course it would.
Yeah, but on that point though, Terry, I'm just looking at last year's fixtures. Chelsea won 1 game in the last 12 games of the season.
Jesus.
They won 1 game in the last 12. And by the way, yeah, you are right on Tuchel, yeah? What match day did Tuchel get sacked? Do we know?
That was after.
Can't remember.
I got it here. He was sacked after match day 6. In his first 6 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 wins and a draw. Yeah, so basically, 3 wins and a draw in his first 6 Premier League games.
10 points again. And again, if you go back to last season and just if you took those 10 points off, they'd have finished on 34 points. Their goal difference was better, but you take those games off, it wouldn't have been better. They could have gone down same points as Leicester. Genuinely, like this isn't. If we just look at this season, say like the breaches happened, you took 15 points off Chelsea now, they would drop into the relegation zone. And the reason I say 15 points is because every single financial expert who has spoken about Chelsea's situation or written about their situation has said looks like it's going to be bigger than Everton's. And they think that what they've been informed is the Premier League are treating it as deliberate because it's just spending money on players. It isn't stadia and investments elsewhere. It's just purely trying to build a squad. And that's why, and I'm not saying everything they're saying is 100% accurate, but they are the experts. Chelsea fans, do not be a bunch of ostriches and stick your head in that sand. You've got to ask questions now. Put your club under pressure now. You know, even this season, right? You're only 11 points out off the relegation zone. By the way, on the same time, you're 15 points from the top 4. So you are closer to relegation than you are the top 4. And your target was top 4 this year, according to your club. So you're nearer to relegation than your actual target. And what your real saving grace is that Crystal Palace and Brentford and Forest and Luton and Everton. Well, in fairness with Everton, they've been in a bad run recently, but they'd be on 29 points if they didn't have their deduction. So they would still be behind you slightly. But there's so many teams that are worse than you. But listen, give Bournemouth a billion to spend. Give Palace $1 billion. Give Brentford $1 billion. I guarantee you they're not where they are in the league right now. I guarantee you they're 4, 5, 6 places higher. It's crazy. And Chelsea fans have got to ask more questions to their football club.